Hi everyone, my name is Fiona Edgar and I'm an astrologer from Northern Ireland. My website is www.fionaedgar.com. You can go there if you want to book a private reading with me. I offer birth chart readings, handwritten birth charts, relationship readings, and a bunch of other stuff. You can go on there and have a look. I am here today to talk about the upcoming full moon in Aries. So it occurs at 20 degrees of Aries, and the sun naturally, because it's opposing the moon on a full moon, is at 20 degrees of Libra. So this full moon is happening on the 13th. If you're in the US, and it will happen in the afternoon sometime. If you're in the UK and Ireland, the full moon will actually occur on the 14th at 4:30 a.m. So if you're in Australia, the full moon will also fall on the 14th and it will happen in the afternoon sometime. So, what is a full moon? The full moon highlights and illuminates two opposing forces in your life so that you can create more balance. So this full moon is in Aries, which this it rules the self. Aries versus Libra is you versus other people, you versus, your relationship, your own needs versus the needs of others, harmony versus conflict. So this full moon may be a little bit feisty to begin with, okay? A little bit hot because it actually makes a square to Pluto. So we're going to experience some kind of intense issue to deal with around the time of the full moon. And because the moon is in Aries, people's tempers may be a little bit shorter than normal. We may just be feeling a bit hot under the collar. We may be feeling more impulsive, a little bit more reckless, and because there's that fire element, Aries people are very impulsive. We may have a few arguments to deal with because Aries can be quite confrontational, but it's all for a good purpose because when the moon is in Aries and the sun is in Libra, it's all about, if there is any conflict, then it's so that our relationships can grow from it and we can make improvements and adjustments to our existing partnerships. So the full moon is always a really emotional time. Everyone is affected by the full moon, especially Cancerians because they're ruled by the moon, but you can certainly notice a difference in humans in general and animals actually. People comment that their pets act more loony on the full moon. They may wander for a few hours and you can't find them. They become more playful or more aggressive. So just like humans, animals are also affected by the full moon. So the full moon in Aries is all about, striving to find a balance in our needs, looking after our partners, acknowledging their needs. Around the full moon in Aries, it may be more tempting to kind of want to do your own thing and think about how a situation really affects you when you need to take other people's needs into consideration. Especially if you're married or you're in a relationship, you may find like you do feel a little bit more selfish than normal, or your partner may find you to be thoughtless, or you have some arguments about I don't know, like your partner thinking that you're just doing things to suit yourself. So it starts off quite difficult, or there's some minor difficult thing to deal with. Now, it's always wise to, if you are a little bit knowledgeable about astrology, you can check the composite chart between you and your partner. So you would look to see where the full moon is falling on that chart, and what planets it's aspecting to get an idea about how the next 2 weeks are going to affect your relationship. So check your composite chart. You could also check your progressed composite chart and your own progressed chart. It's always important to look at those when you're tracking transits, okay? If you don't know what any of those things mean, you can book a reading with me and I'll be happy to explain and, track transits to your composite chart for the next 6 months. That's a service that I offer. So check those, check your own birth chart. So the full moon can be a stressful time. Everyone is kind of stressed. Things that, out of the norm happen on a full moon. Things that wouldn't usually happen. People's behavior changes. So it is always a good idea to be prepared and kind of get an idea of what is going to go on, before some drama happens, as can tend to happen around a full moon. So one of the main aspects to this full moon is that there is a square to Pluto. So Pluto is known as the destroyer, and it transforms, whatever it touches. It can be difficult because transformation is difficult. We all get into our comfort zones and get used to dealing with stuff that maybe we should have left behind a long time ago. So Pluto is the kind of planet that forces change upon you because it's good for your spiritual growth. So we have that square, first of all, to deal with. Now, in the full moon chart, Mercury and Venus are both in Scorpio. So Venus in Scorpio can add a little bit of a jealous or obsessive edge to relationships right now. So it's going to be Venus is going to be transiting Scorpio for another few weeks. You may find that your partner becomes a little bit more jealous than normal, or something bothers them. On the plus side, Venus in Scorpio is really good for emotional connecting with another person. It's good for your sex life. It's a very sensual placement. So Mercury in Scorpio is a natural detective. It's people that have Mercury in Scorpio, like, you will never be able to, lie to them or pull the wool over their eyes, because they are so intuitive and psychically switched on that even if you move your eyes slightly, or, something twitches on your face, they will know that you're lying or you're trying to deceive them. So it's, that energy is influencing us all at the moment, but especially on the full moon. So it's best to tell the truth, okay? Just, always be honest. I mean, that's always the best thing to do, but especially around this time, because you don't want to upset your partner or make them suspicious of you. Things tend to blow out of proportion around a full moon. So, maybe they find out that you've said something which wasn't true. Then they'll find it really difficult to trust you after that, over something stupid. So let's not do that, okay? So over the full moon, secrets and things that we were unaware of previously tend to come to light. So, you may find something out about your partner. You may discover something about your own personality which you were not aware of previously. It could be an epiphany. That is something that would happen. So you suddenly realize that something that you've been doing your whole life is kind of bad for you, or you've outgrown it. So it's a time to embrace positive change and go with the flow. So Pluto is all about change and transformation, and this is what this full moon is going to bring up for us to deal with, because it wants us to move on, okay? The universe doesn't want us to stay stagnant. I mean, we're here to grow and evolve as spiritual beings. We don't do that when we just do the same thing every day for the rest of our lives. And if you notice, like, people that do that, they tend to, people that just do the same thing all the time, they never challenge themselves, they don't try anything new, they tend to be pretty unhappy in life, or their lives, once they get into their comfort zone and they don't make any changes or push themselves, sometimes their lives can start to fall apart because they are continuing to go for things which they have outgrown on a spiritual level, so the universe tries to take those things away from them. So, when someone comes to me and says, "Hey, can I have a reading, please? My life is chaos at the moment, nothing's going right. Things that used to work are no longer working." So we have a look at their chart, and it turns out that they're going against the energy of what they should be creating. Okay, so yep. So those are just some things to watch out for. I mean, like I said, this full moon can start off a little bit difficult, but it doesn't have to be a huge deal. There is actually a really beautiful trine to from the full moon to Jupiter. So Jupiter is the planet of expansion, of growth, of spirituality. Jupiter can blow things out of proportion, and like, Jupiter expands upon what you already have. So if you already have something that's not so good, then it can make it worse. But in this case, the trine is actually a positive aspect. It's a natural, easy flowing aspect. So when we go along with this transformation that we're supposed to be, that we're supposed to be doing, Jupiter is going to reward us. So Jupiter, this trine can be about finally seeing the reality of a situation, because it's Aries and Libra. It could be finally seeing that the reality of a relationship that you're in. That doesn't have to be a bad thing. That can be, well, hey, you know what? I really love this person and I really want them to be in my life. So I'm going to change this about myself. I'm going to stop being grumpy in the mornings. I'm going to stop, just whatever. I'm going to start treating this person with the respect that they deserve. And then you start to realize that the universe really rewards you for that and makes you, feel much happier in your relationship. So because the square between Jupiter and Neptune is now separating, so that was I can't remember exactly now, I think it was like last week or the week before, that was creating this fog around certain issues, that we were having to deal with, like big, important issues. Jupiter and Neptune are, they're big planets. So we may have been feeling like super confused about some things. It was really hard to see the truth about something. There were illusions, there was deception. So hopefully all of that has cleared now for everyone. And when you see the truth about something and you're no longer living a lie or living in denial, your whole life changes after that. Like, there are so many people that want to just believe something that just isn't true because the truth is too uncomfortable for them and the truth is just too dark for them. But you have to live your life in truth, okay? Because, and I have mentioned this before, whatever energy that we are creating in our lives is reflected in the world around us. So, no one seems to know when any politicians are telling the truth. They say this, they say that. The news is super confusing. Like, one channel will say one thing, another channel will say the opposite. We live in a confusing world, but you have to live your own truth and just not pay much attention to those things because it just confuses you even more. So tuning your own intuition about your own life when everyone starts to do that, then the whole world has no choice but to change. The people around us, the frequency will affect them, and they have no choice but to start to live in truth as well. So that's a really positive thing that you can do. So this trine from the full moon to Jupiter is rewarding us for that. It's rewarding us for living the truth. Jupiter also rules over legal issues. So many people were going through legal issues, and when the square between Jupiter and Neptune started to separate, there was some clarity there that wasn't there before. So it could have been an ending of some sort surrounding legal issues. Maybe you were debating whether to start legal proceedings, or maybe you were already involved in those. But things are more clear now, and Jupiter is a really optimistic planet. So we feel happier now. We can actually see that we may be part of a happy future, and this may involve our partnerships because it's Libra and Aries. So maybe you were going through these terrible relationship issues, for many months. Maybe your relationship was really difficult, because of external influences on it that were really negative. But now you can see everything much more clear. You took the action that you needed to take, and the result of that is that your relationship has become a much more happy place for you to be in. So you can work on creating, your future with this person. It's not all roses. Like a full moon is never all roses. So any astrologer that says that, or you see these like little pictures with text on them and on Facebook, there's always, like, life is always a mixture of difficult things and really good things. So nothing is ever completely good or difficult. So I believe in telling the truth in my astrology and not shying away from darkness or the shadow, because it's misleading to do that. Okay. So yeah, so with this clarity now, we are, living a better life and improving our relationships. Maybe we've suddenly realized that we can be happy with someone. We were debating, maybe for many months, should I be with this person or should I be by myself? So the full moon is going to bring more clarity around that, and more happiness. So yeah, with Pluto there, it's not all roses. There is going to be some hiccup to deal with. Hopefully nothing too dramatic, although much of that does depend on where the full moon is falling in your own chart. There may be some uncomfortable truth that comes to light. We may have a light bulb moment, about some issue that's been dragging on, and then we take action and start to change it. Because remember, Aries is a sign that will always take action. Aries does not believe in sitting on the fence. Aries can sometimes be a little bit hasty, but with this axis of Libra and Aries being highlighted, then it's all about trying to be moderate as well, not being too hasty, thinking about other people as much as you think of yourself. Just being respectful and bringing that balance in. So yes, I'm going to go through each of the signs individually and talk about how the full moon is going to affect those. So Aries, this is a big full moon for Aries people. Aries people can be like pretty dramatic at times. They can have like a little bit of a short temper at times. But the good thing about Aries is that they never lose their temper for long. They are pretty, they're really actually very honest. Aries people are very honest. Like they will tell you, you're being an asshole. Like they will straight up tell you that, or they may lose their tempers with you, but then they recover very quickly and they just want to move on. Aries people don't want to dwell on things. They're usually not the type of people to to hold grudges. They're usually pretty straightforward. Okay, so what I'm reading now, it's really helpful if you look at your sun sign, but also your moon sign and your rising sign. Okay, so if you have Aries moon, Scorpio rising, and Taurus sun, look at all of those three signs. Okay. So yeah, so for Aries, this full moon is falling in their first house, so they may feel all of a sudden, if they're in a committed partnership, they may feel really restless. All of a sudden, they may feel like galloping off into the sunset and going and doing their own thing, really pissing their partner off. There may be, could be some drama to deal with. But the good thing about this is that anything that happens between Aries and another person, it's going to clear that energy. Sometimes things are brewing and, you know, you don't want to stir the pot. Aries doesn't usually mind about stirring the pot, but maybe you've been sitting on this and it all comes to your head on the full moon. But what happens is that maybe you get it out in the open. You and your partner are able to get to the bottom of what the issues have really been and move on. Simply just move on, and your relationship really really improves after that. So this Aries full moon in your first house is going to make you super vibrant. It's going to make you really enthusiastic. It's all of this fire energy like igniting you, Aries. You're going to feel pretty passionate, and it's overall it should be a very good full moon for you if you remember to not explode and not have a massive temper drama issue with your partner. So just keep it calm and remember that talking about things in a rational way is the best way to deal with any issues. Okay, so Taurus, sun, moon, and rising. Taurus, this is happening in your 12th house. So the full moon is a culmination of an ending, a completion, something changes. So the full moon is when you see the fruits of the seeds that you planted on the new moon. So you may something that you've been working in secret or in the background, Taurus. It's finally ready around the full moon or over the next 2 weeks because the full moon affects the next fortnight. So you may be doing some secret project that nobody knew about, and then you can think about bringing it into the public. The 12th house is a dark, big, vast space, so your secrets may be revealed, Taurus. Something about your personal or your private life may suddenly become public knowledge, so just be careful about that and be aware of the potential. You may find out a secret about your partner, so your partner drops some bombshell on you that you didn't see coming. That is a possibility. On the plus side, around the full moon, you probably feel very spiritual. You're going to feel more psychically switched on, Taurus, and you may want to meditate. You may just be feeling like really dreamy. It can be the ending of a cycle. So the ending in the 12th house could be maybe you have been spending a lot of time on your own recently, and the full moon changes that. So it comes to a head. The 12th house is also associated with hospitals and prisons. Maybe you have been in hospital and you're going to get out around the full moon. Maybe you're in prison, or someone that is in hospital and they get released. So it's going to shine a light on one of those areas for you. So as Venus is in Scorpio right now, Taurus, and that's your opposite. Scorpio is your opposite sign, so your partner may be acting more secretive than usual. Like I said, your partner may drop a bombshell on you, so just be aware of that. But overall, it should be pretty good. You may choose to meditate on the full moon. You may take up some new activity like meditating or pranayama or something that really is good for your spiritual growth. Gemini, this full moon is happening in your 11th house. So that's the house of groups and friendships, your hopes and wishes, your dreams, your social life. So the full moon may trigger some kind of, it could be conflict within a group or with a friend. You may have an argument, but then you clear the air with your friends and everything returns to normal. I would advise you not to like sit on the fence or try and keep things secret or anything like that over the full moon because it will come out anyway. Your a relationship with a close friend may change in the next 2 weeks. Like you may find something out about them that changes your friendship. Like not just a bad thing, it could be a good thing. You could really bond with the friends during this full moon because Pluto is involved. Pluto is really having a really deep connection with someone where you can tell each other all of your secrets, all of your dark secrets that you never told anyone. You can bond with that person and just create something that's really special and lasts for a lifetime. So that's another possibility there. So the 11th house also rules over, the results of things in a really positive way, like gaining something. You may, this could manifest in many different ways for Geminis, but you may gain, it could be a new job. You get something. Your hard work is really starting to pay off for you, Gemini. So those are all pretty positive things. Jupiter is involved, so there's good fortune there. A full moon in the 11th house, you could also decide to start your own group. Usually, starting things would be, that would be more of a new moon thing, but it all blends in together. So you kind of leave one group and because it wasn't working for you, like maybe you didn't get along with the people, and then you just decide to start your own. That is a very Aries thing to do, is when you take the reins and you initiate something and you make it your own and you put your own spin on it. Cancer. Cancer, the full moon is falling into your 10th house. So the 10th house rules over your career, your status. So that could be your marital status, your status on Facebook. Does it say that you're in a relationship? The 10th house also rules over authority. So a full moon here could mean that you have to deal with the authority in some way. I don't know, maybe the government requests something from you, like your documents, or maybe you become a citizen or of another country. Maybe some authority rewards you for something that you've done. Maybe you get some advice from the government or from some person that is very knowledgeable around the full moon. So in the 10th house, there could be changes in your career. The full moon is the fruit of something. So if you're self-employed, maybe your business is going to do super well over the next couple of weeks. Maybe you decide to leave your job because, with Aries being involved, you want to be your own boss, okay? So you don't like dealing with authority. You have a really good business idea. Maybe I can do this instead of working for these other people. Maybe I can really make a go of this business and be my own boss and make my own success. So yeah, I mean, like I said, there could be some hiccups in the beginning, but if you deal with these energies in the right way, you're going to be rewarded. something is going to fall into your lap that you were not expecting. So, that's going to be a really good thing. You may get more attention from the public, Cancer. That is another possibility, because the 10th house, the midheaven, the cusp of the 10th house is the most visible part of the chart. So that's how the public see you. You come into contact more with the public. So with the full moon there, you may suddenly get more attention from the public. You could be in the media, you could be in a newspaper, you can do, maybe you start to do YouTube videos, you get interviewed, or you do start to do podcasts, or you appear on someone else's podcast. The possibilities are endless here. Okay, so Leo, this should be a pretty positive full moon for Leos. It does fall into your ninth house, so Aries is going to make good aspects to Leo because they're both fire signs. The ninth house rules over legal issues. So this could be the ending of some legal issues. Maybe you've been going through a divorce. Maybe you've been suing someone or they've been suing you. Just a long, hard slog. So that those things may come to a head around the full moon. And then it gets better after that. So maybe you end up getting divorced, but it's something that you want. And maybe you get a divorce settlement, or maybe suddenly if you are in legal issues, the other person suddenly decides to pay out. They don't want to continue going through the courts, something along those lines. So the ninth house also means that you could excuse me, the ninth house rules over spirituality. So you could start to make more sense of your spiritual path. Maybe you recently discovered something about your spiritual path that, excuse me, all of this talking is really starting to mess with my throat. Okay, so you can make more sense of your spiritual path, and you may feel like you've reached a turning point on your spiritual path. You want to become really dedicated to something. Maybe you change your religion. Maybe you change your spiritual practices. The full moon is when we start to see the fruits of our efforts. Maybe you have dedicated yourself to some spiritual practice, and then you really start to notice that around the full moon it's really working for you. So you could start to meditate. Maybe you've been meditating recently, so your third eye is starting to open. You're becoming more psychic and switched on. You're starting to feel more balanced, and you're starting to see the benefits in some way. The ninth house would also rule higher learning. So maybe you've been studying something. It could be an official course, or it could be a course that you're doing at university, or it could be home learning, which is just as valid as learning in a university. Maybe you've been educating yourself on something. It could be astrology, it could be the law, it could be, something that you've embarked on this course. So you start to see the fruits of that around the full moon time, and you start to realize that your hard work is really starting to pay off, which is a really good thing for you. Okay, so Virgo. So Virgo, the sign, the house that the full moon falls into for you is your eighth house. So the eighth house is a very mysterious house. It rules over transformation. Things die there, but they are resurrected and reborn again. It also rules the occult, secrets. The occult means anything that is hidden. So maybe you go digging and you find something out. The eighth house also rules shared finances. So over the next 2 weeks, maybe your partner starts to earn more money. They have a significant increase in earnings that really is a positive thing for your relationship. Maybe you pay, so shared finances, would also include money that has been loaned to you. So maybe around this full moon, you pay off a loan, you pay off a debt that has been, there for a while, and you finally reached the turning point where you can pay it off. Maybe your partner is paying off a loan. Maybe you get some money in a divorce settlement. It may be a shock at first because don't forget there's Pluto involved. There's a square to Pluto, so it may be a oh my god moment in the beginning. But then after that, you think, oh, you know what, it wasn't so bad. Maybe if I do this and this, I can really transform or change this situation around. So it works out for the best. You could also decide to start a business, okay, Virgo? So that's something that you would actually be really good at. Virgos are really analytical. They have excellent intuition about things. That's something that Virgos do not get enough credit for. It's usually the water signs that get all of the credit, for being intuitive and psychic. Virgo is really psychic and really intuitive. Almost every Virgo that I've ever known has been very, very psychically switched on. When they listen to their inner voice and they're not, because your intuition will only work if you believe it and you trust it. And the more that you do that, the stronger it gets. So it has to trust you, okay? Your intuition has to trust you as well. So when you start to go with that and you start to see that, yeah, you were right, your first instinct about a situation or person was right, it will get stronger. So Virgo, you have a knack for business. You intuitively know what will be success. So maybe you decide to get a business loan around the next few weeks. Maybe you decide to make a business plan and you get the funding to make a dream happen because Jupiter is involved. Okay, so Jupiter is the planet of dreams. A big vision, like what is your dream? Make it happen. The energies of this full moon are really positive. Libra. Okay, Libra, this full moon occurs in your seventh house. The seventh house is the house that rules over your partnership, your marriage, your committed relationships, also your business partners, your clients. So, a full moon in the seventh house could mean many different things. Okay, it could possibly mean the ending of a relationship. That is one possibility. That's so you end a relationship, but then you start to feel a lot better afterwards. You start to feel more like your old self because that person was, you were having to change yourself for that person and pretend to be someone that you weren't. So you become more authentic and you feel a relief. It could bring changes to an existing partnership. It could get a lot better. Maybe you've been going through a rough patch with your partner, with all this stuff in Capricorn in the skies affecting you, Libra. That is a big possibility. But maybe those things are going to change now and come to an end, and you can start to really imagine having a future with this person or getting back to a place where you were both happy. So, it could be something difficult to deal with in the beginning, but after that it gets a lot better for you. Just try to be patient with your partner. You know, on the other hand, like your partner may be the one who's acting Aries, acting feisty, acting kind of like selfish and going, you know what, I really want to do this and I don't want to do it with you. Like, I want to do this on my own. And you're just like, okay, well, you just let them get on with it and they will probably go and do something and then get bored of it really quickly and then come back to you and everything is going to be okay. And then you're able to kind of break through a rough relationship patch. So you could also sign a contract around the full moon, or, I don't know, maybe you've written a book and you get a publisher and you sign that contract. You sign the contract of a new job, or you complete the contract that you were hired to do. You may collaborate with another person. That's another seventh house thing. You may find a business partner and decide to like hook up and share ideas and, start a business together or work together or write together or something along those lines. Okay, so Scorpio, this full moon falls into your sixth house. So the sixth house would rule over your health, your work, the day-to-day routine that you have, your schedule. The sixth house also rules over like your small animals, small pets like your cats and your dogs. So the full moon here, you may suffer from a flare up of health issues. As the moon is going to be in Aries, it is going to be kind of sudden, unexpected. Maybe you have a flare up of autoimmune issues, or you have a flare up of allergies, and all of that gets a lot worse over the full moon. Hopefully, it's nothing too serious. It probably won't be, but maybe after that, it becomes clear to you that you really need a change in your lifestyle. So, and this is the case for, Scorpio suns, moons, and risings, even Mars and Venus. Scorpio people are really all or nothing, and they can get up like addicted or obsessed or, with a certain thing, and they want to do it over and over again. So maybe you have got to, really like something and you've been eating a certain food over and over again, but it contains something in it that your body really doesn't want, like gluten or dairy, something like that. And, all of a sudden you have these like horrible health issues. But then the plus side of that is that it should only last for a couple of days. But then after that, it kind of prompts you to change your lifestyle in some way. You could be, maybe you've been stressed for a long time, Scorpio, or you've had this anxiety and worry to deal with like all the time. It's been impossible for you to relax. This could be a relationship thing as well, because Venus is transiting through Scorpio right now, so relationships are intense. Scorpio is intense and jealous and possessive at the best of times. Anyone that's in a relationship with someone who has Scorpio placements will be able to say yes, they are. They tend to be territorial, they tend to be jealous. So, like, there may be something that flares up around the weekend that causes you to feel jealousy, Scorpio, but hopefully it doesn't last for long and your partner is able to reassure you and things return to normal. So you're meant to be transforming around the time of this full moon. One part of your life is meant to be, closing to an end, so that you can start something new and start a new cycle. We should always be moving and changing and going with the flow instead of just being rigid and staying stuck in the same thing. So with Scorpio being in excuse me, Scorpio being in a fixed sign, it can really get stuck emotionally and psychologically and in, the areas of relationships. So it's always good to get things moving again and be open to change. So, Sagittarius, the full moon is happening in your fifth house. So the fifth house is naturally ruled by Leo, and some of the things that it's associated with are children, creativity, fun, romance, flirting, things that make you feel lighthearted, things that make you feel creative, feeling good about yourself. Also, your self-esteem to a certain extent would be a fifth house thing. Like, what do you do to make yourself feel good? Um, so all of these things, are going to come up for you, and around the full moon, there may be an issue with one of your kids. There may be conflict involved because it's in Aries. Maybe you and your kid have an argument, but then you're able to make up with them and smooth things over, and everything's okay again. So that's another possibility. Your creativity is going to be sparked around the full moon. Maybe you decide to like do some art. Maybe you decide to maybe redecorate your home. Fifth house creative stuff doesn't have to be just like aesthetics or appearances. It can also be maybe you do some creative writing, or you write some poetry, or you make a YouTube video. It can be all of those things as well. The fifth house is a fun place to be. So this weekend you should definitely make an effort to go out and do something fun, either by yourself or with your partner, because it's Aries and Libra. It's you and another person, you and your best friend, you and your kids. Maybe you and your kid could do something really fun together this weekend and really improve that relationship. Capricorn, it's happening in your fourth house. So the fourth house rules over our homes, our upbringings, our ancestry, our relatives that run down the maternal line. You can also see, on the cusp of the fourth house in someone's birth chart, you can see like family wounding, family curses, that kind of trauma that is passed down throughout the line. So this full moon would be a really good time for you to heal that, to open up your mind and acknowledge that you've been through a lot of trauma in your life, and like some of it was caused by your childhood or your relationship with your mother. Maybe you need to have a conversation with someone that is really uncomfortable, but then you clear the air and that energy is lifted from you, and you start to feel lighter and more positive about your life after that. So it is going to be a good weekend to clear the air and have difficult conversations with people, because it looks positive after that. So don't hold it in, because when you do that, first of all, it's really bad for you on an energetic level. If you hold your emotions in, if you hold your words in, your chakras become blocked, your throat becomes blocked, your energy becomes very low, your heart chakra becomes blocked, you feel depressed because your energy isn't moving, it's not flowing the way that it should be. So speak your mind, but you can do it in a way that is going to cause not going to cause a massive argument. But it's a really positive thing that you could do for yourself this weekend. So Aquarius, the full moon falls into your third house. The third house rules communication. So you could have a conversation with someone. You could do some writing. You could talk to your siblings, because your siblings fall into the third house. Your cousins. There may be conflict to deal with, a minor row or argument with your siblings that may flare up. It could be like old stuff from the past that needs to be cleared. So Pluto wants you to deal with it once and for all. So say over the years you've been really angry because when you were 9, your brother stole your bike and then left it out in the rain. It got all rusty, or did something to your bike and it was broken. And you've always felt really annoyed about that ever since. Or maybe one of your siblings was really mean to you when you were a kid, and you always avoided talking about it, even though you found it really hurtful and it really affected you on many different ways, in a negative way. This weekend, you could definitely have that conversation to clear the air and, close that part and move on, improve your relationship. So the third house also rules over short journeys. So this weekend would be a good time to take a trip. Maybe you want to go for a trip around your local area. Maybe you want to go with your sister to go shopping. Those are good things that you could do. You want to go driving. Maybe you want to do your driving test, or all of these things would be good for you to do this weekend. So finally, Pisces. Pisces, this full moon falls into your second house. So the second house rules over money that we have earned ourselves, your wages, things that, money that you've earned through stuff that you've sold, or a service that you provide. So there's going to be a change for you over the next few weeks. Maybe you get a pay rise. maybe you suddenly realize I'm not earning enough money to support myself, or maybe you have a partner that is ill and that is relying on you. You know, you're taking care of them financially, and maybe you're just realizing that maybe you don't have enough money to do that, or you need to take on some overtime so that it improves your finances. Um, Maybe you want to ask your boss for a raise, and you've been like, you've been kind of hesitant to do that because your boss is like, a bit of an asshole and doesn't normally like to talk about money or raises, but maybe you'll be pleasantly surprised. So Pluto is all about facing uncomfortable truths. It doesn't candy coat things. Pluto is kind of dirty and very raw, but maybe the conversation will end up and you'll be pleasantly surprised. So maybe you embark on a totally new project that will improve your finances in some way, Pisces. So the second house also rules over our morals as well. So our morals and values, those personal morals and values that we have. Maybe you've been a bit sloppy in those areas recently, and you suddenly decide over the full moon that you need to do the right thing now. Maybe you've been doing something that you shouldn't have been doing. I don't know. And suddenly around the full moon, you have an epiphany and you realize that, well, hang on, maybe I need to kind of shape up here and do something better. Maybe you start to realize that you are worth more than what you're currently being paid in work. Maybe you decide to leave your job and you decide to go for something where you earn more money. Maybe you have your own business and you decide to raise your prices because you realize that what you're doing is so special and unique that you should be rewarded properly for it. So your kind of confidence is boosted over the weekend and you're like, what? I think I've been undervaluing myself, so I'm gonna, adjust my prices here accordingly, and people can pay extra because I am worth that. So yeah, it should be a pretty good full moon. Like the next few weeks should be good. There may be a few bumpy things to go through on the day of the full moon and maybe a day or two after that. But, like I said, after that, things do improve generally. So maybe you come to a realization about your finances and the money that you've been spending, Pisces. Maybe you realize that you've been living beyond your means. So you decide to write out a list of all the things that you really need to spend money on and then luxury items that you can do without. Pisces people can struggle when it comes to money sometimes because they're like really spiritual and floaty, and they kind of live in the, like, they feel like they belong more in the spiritual world, the spirit world. They would rather meditate and stuff like that than get down to the nitty gritty, like day to day, world of earning money and having to support yourself. That not all Pisces, but just some of them that can be an issue. So maybe around this full moon, you really make a really good plan for yourself, and after that, your finances improve really well, and your partner, is really glad that you've decided to do that because you're improving both of your quality of life. So yeah, it should be a pretty good full moon. There's a lot to benefit from. There's a lot of positivity and optimism for everyone. As long as you're doing your work, as long as you're doing that work on your inner self, your spiritual self, on your morals, it's not going to work for you if you go around blaming other people all the time. So this full moon is all about taking ownership of the events that occur in your life, taking ownership for your relationships, remembering that you have another person that is also affected by the choices that you make. And just by being that little bit more self aware, your future starts to get so much better and you finally start to see hope and light at the end of the tunnel, which is what Jupiter is. So I hope that was helpful for everyone. You can book a private reading with me on my website, fionaedgar.com. I also have interviews there that I've done. There's a bunch of free articles that you can read, and there's more about me and the kind of work that I do. You could also look me up on Facebook, just Fiona Edgar, or I do have a Facebook page that I share astrology transits on every couple of days. It's Scorpio Moon, Karmic Astrology, and Tarot. So once again, my name is Fiona Edgar, and I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll be back soon with another video.